I'm Tom Pennington. I'm your instructor for the ethics class here at Ivy Tech. I wanted to make a short video talking about our sense of right and wrong. Came up a couple of times in one of the discussion boards, and the comment that I wanted to make about it is that we can't always trust our sense of right and wrong. For example, if you had a person who was a mother of two, really struggling in your group, or a client, and she really just needed a few groceries just to get through the end of the month. It may feel like the right thing to do to feed these kids. It may feel like the right thing to do to help her out. We should never do that. Even though that it feels like the right thing to do, we have to refer people to the appropriate services. We can't create these kind of dual relationships. Another one will be to possibly tell someone how they can contact you privately, away from the professional setting. That's really tempting sometimes because people need support. And the way it feels is that it feels like the right thing to do so that I can help support this person. Not always the best ethical thing to do. So we have these ethical guidelines typically put out by the profession that we work under. For example, in the addiction field, we have several ethical guidelines about dual relationships, in particular about confidentiality and how the consequences for crossing those barriers can be pretty grave. The other thing that we do, if we do what we think is right, sometimes people misinterpret that. They don't see that as an act of kindness or an act of me just trying to be a good human being. What they see that as, I can count on this person. And we have to remember that a lot of our clients are rather dependent personalities. They don't feel empowered enough to take care of their own life, so they feel like they need other people to take care of them. We are sensitive to those things too, and we want to do what's right by these folks. So we might cross an ethical line without really even realizing that we've done so. The other one is to not only repeat gossip, but to listen to gossip. Now, it may not sound like listening to gossip is crossing an ethical line. However, my sense of right and wrong might tell me that I should really listen and gather this information. Sometimes that may be the case. However, more often than not, simply the act of listening to the gossip is crossing an ethical line, because we now have information that really has no bearing. It didn't come to me in a good source. It didn't come to me in a direct route. It's not something that I really need to deal with right now. It's just something that I kind of heard about. Should I forget it? Should I not pay any attention to it? More often than not, we will kind of take in the information. This is an ethical dilemma, because if I take in the information, no matter how strong my sense of right and wrong is, no matter how much I want to ignore the information and not let it have any bearing on what I do, we're human beings. The information is already in there. So the one that you really have to be careful of is the gossip that starts out, well, I don't think they'd care if you know. Or I told her I wouldn't tell anybody, but. Now at that point, if you have a strong ethical background and you're not relying simply on your sense of right and wrong, but more on a boundary or a guideline or some ethical guideline that you've established for yourself, you would probably say, well, if you promise not to tell, maybe you should. And I don't really want to listen to that. Or if, I don't think they would care if you knew, well, did you check? Did you ask them? And maybe they should come and talk to me directly. So some of the time, our sense of right and wrong can create something that in us, we have this strong emotional reaction. We feel like, oh, this is the right thing to do. I should do this. More often than not, it's going to cause us a problem. The sense of wrong can also do that. In particular, when we look at what coworkers are doing with one of our clients, we might feel like the coworker is really not doing the right thing here. For us to act on that right away without, checking with a supervisor, or at least checking with another colleague and maybe sounding this out, seeing what we need to do, we can also cross a real ethical line here. For one thing, while we may feel like it's the right thing to do to protect the best interests of our client, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, you should always do that. However, have I protected the best interest of my coworker also? Am I giving my coworker the respect they deserve? Is there something about this case I don't know? Have I spoken to them directly? Have I spoken to my supervisor about my feelings? Have I gone through all these ethical guides that I might have in order to resolve this question? Or am I just simply relying on my sense of right and wrong? So I think that a good moral compass, a good sense of right and wrong is absolutely imperative, and you need to use that tool. What I'm saying here is that it's only one tool, and it's not the one that you should rely on 100% of the time. And even if you have a strong sense that this is right, I should do it, or this is wrong, I shouldn't do it, you may want to check with the ethical guidelines and the legal restraints that govern your profession, your craft, your scope of work. So I hope that helps a little bit. I made a few comments on the discussion board, and I hope that this maybe clears it up. If it doesn't, if it makes it even more complicated, shoot me an email. I'll either make another video or I will get a hold of you personally. This is Tom Pennington. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.